Vamos a tope.
Where's it?
Onhosa no bamaka domo obinwina.
Yes.
So for the sake of our audience and the people that will learn about the Holy Arousa Cathedral, we are going to be using English, and maybe some place if you use a other language it's also okay by us. So we've heard a lot about Holy Arousa Cathedral, and today we came here to ask questions because there are a lot of people with the impression that Holy Arousa Cathedral is not just an ordinary church due to how historic it is and what they see within the walls, the Ada, the Eben. So we've come here today so you can teach us and tell us more about Holy Arousa Cathedral. We have few questions here that we are going to be asking with your permission. Vamos, sir.
Thank you very much. You are welcome.
So our first question here is when we talk about Holy Arousa, what is Holy Arousa and what does it mean?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Hosa Debiri Ibrahima. By the special grace of God, and the presiding priest of Holy Arousa Cathedral. Holy Arousa came into being during the reign of Oba Esigi. Oba Esigi, the 16th Oba of Benin. It was during the reign of Oba Esigi that the Portuguese visited Benin Kingdom. The Portuguese also happened to be the first white people that visited the kingdom. So when they visited Benin, then it's a kingdom ruled by the great Oba. They came here for trade. As you all know, this was the period of when it was the period of trade Labata as it were then. So they came into the kingdom and saw so many good things. Also met a very well established kingdom, whereby we're already a sovereign nation, ruled by the great Oba of Benin. Apart from that, they made what is today regarded as a very well coordinated and a very well coordinated system of government, whereby checks and balances were also on the ground. The administrative system of the kingdom, then even up to now, was second to none. So they came here doing business with the kingdom under the authority of the Oba of Benin. So when they came, after years of their business relationship with the kingdom, they now met with the Oba one day and said, "Hi, Your Majesty, that's Oba SCG then. We've been in your kingdom for years now, and we have never come across a place where it looks like what is regarded to be as a church, where people converge and together and sing songs of praises and worship God Almighty. It looks as if it's like the people of the kingdom don't know God Almighty." So the Oba responded by telling them that we the Beninese, we have known God Almighty even before their coming. First of all, they should know that what you don't know, you cannot have name for it. So because we know God Almighty, that is why the Beninese we call God Almighty Osanubowa, which is the common name that everybody knows today. Osanubowa simply means the God of Almighty or the God of creation. Apart from that, we also have other names that we call God Almighty. In Benin here, we call God Almighty Osanubowa, God Almighty Okondudu, or Akpamagbaye, Orele, and so on and so forth. All these are names that we use to call on God Almighty. So they told them we already know God Almighty. We also have our own way of worshiping this God Almighty. Just that we don't do it the way they do, whereby the house is built and everybody converge together to sit. So the way we are doing it then show to them the way we the Benin were doing it was there's a special tree in Benin known as Ihemi tree, whereby the Ihemi tree is they usually do it the way they call it Osagbaye. In that tree, the earth is gathered around it. You have the cola nuts, you have the coconuts, you have the white chalk and the other things. So whenever the beliefs were to call on God Almighty, then everybody will go on a particular day, most especially the day of a king, which is a sacred day in the kingdom, where people don't go to farms and they don't go to the rivers and streams as well to do other activities. The Ken Day is usually more of like a public holiday in Benin. So the Ken Day, people go there to that particular spot where they worship God Almighty. People go there to go with their different sacrificial items. Then, so once they get there, they meet with a priest known as Ohen, who now stands like who stands in the gap between the people and the God Almighty. So people will stand there, whatever their sacrificial item is, they will talk to God themselves. Talk to God, and at the end of the day, present those things before the altar of God. Then, so that is how we will be calling on God Almighty, and the God Almighty, by the grace of God, God Almighty has also been answering our prayers. So the Oba told them this is how we have been worshiping God Almighty. Then I said, fine, this way is also good, but they also have their own way. That in their subsequent journey, they will come along with missionaries. Because those that first visited the kingdom, those that were also with us, they were not missionaries, they were traders. So in their subsequent journey, they now came with missionaries who we know are in charge of establishing churches. So the missionaries actually came, got to the kingdom, along with their brothers, the traders, introduced them to the Oba. The Oba now gave a marching order that since they are here to also preach the gospel, the good news of God Almighty, so they should look for a place for them to establish a church. So the first place that they took them to, that's the missionaries, the Portuguese missionaries as well, was Saple Road, today Saple Road. And to get to Saple Road, beside the High Court there, between High Court and the Secretariat building, there's a street there called Ukbelaka. We meet a place there today known as Ukbelaka Shrine. That's where the very first Holy Arousa was created in Benin. The first one was established there, and the church was built there. But after a while, the Portuguese came back to tell the Oba that, Your Majesty, we have been in your kingdom, and they've showed us a place where we have planted a church. But we don't really like that place much. So the Oba said they should take them to another location to show them. They took them to Arousa Street. That's why that place is named Arousa Street today. By Besama Junction here, they also that church was also sited there. After a while, they came back and said they have also sited a church there, but they still need another place. Finally, they brought them to this place where we had to get Papava. When they now got here, after a while, they say, Your Majesty, they are really okay now. This is what they've been looking for. So, from what I've said so far, this was not the third church that was sited in Benin at that time. So those are two were also Arousa. It's when they finally came, they settled down, put up a very big structure, but not as big as what you will see today, because what we are talking about is over 500 years ago, where buildings were still being done with mud, red and sand, So with the authority of the Oba and the express permission of the Oba, services commenced here at Holy Arousa. So while they were here, we checked because of the proximity of the place to the palace, very close. The bishop was not here, and to locate to easy access to the place, so we were here, and because the bishop was here, and the communication, as you all know, then was really a big challenge. So they now said the people are here. The Portuguese, they now named this road that we are now the Papa Via Way, the Papa Via, which is a Portuguese word, which means the road of the bishop. That's the road where the bishop stays, or the way, Papa Via. That's the way of the road of the bishop. So it was that the Benin later corrupted. It has no meaning in Benin. So they were here, and because the church was established, and those that actually established were missionaries, but they were Catholic missionaries. It was the Catholic missionary that established Arousa, because it was it was approved by the Oba SK. So the place was named Holy. So holy means something that is pure, something that is spotless. Holy, and the Arousa has to come in because it's our own. Arousa means the holy altar of God. When you go and we also listen to some of these media, wherever, especially the Gogo, they will tell you Arousa means the holy heart of God. It's not the holy heart of God. Arousa means the holy altar of God. And the cathedral also came in as well, because this was where the bishop stays. So that's why they are known as Holy Arousa Cathedral. Also called us the Edo National Church of God. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.